They are the first to respond and help save a life in an emergency, but in doing so, the traumatic experiences can leave a lasting impact. Northern News Now's Michaela Wrench shares how a new nonprofit organization in the South Shore is working to provide therapy for our first responders.
These men and women answer the call every single day. A new Auxilia initiative is working to give emergency first responders early intervention therapeutic services to help them cope with the traumatic calls. The organization, serving Ashland and Bayfield counties, provide group traumatic episode protocol, or GTEP, therapy. These groups are different from standard therapy groups.
You can be really comfortable in a group setting knowing that you're not going to be hearing other people talk about their trauma, and you're not going to be sharing your trauma in a group.
Brittany Kuka, a licensed counselor, says she created this organization as a starting point for first responders to seek mental health care. Kuka says making people talk about their experiences normally turn them off from seeking help. Instead, the initiative helps to empower them to seek support without speaking in a large setting.
After somebody experiences trauma, experiences a crisis, or just experiences something scary, we want to get in early so that we can prevent that thing from causing problems later on.
One problem EMS workers face when dealing with a crisis call is that they can't talk about it because of HIPAA laws and confidentiality.
The beauty of GTEP and an EMDR is that it's a non-talk therapy. So you can deal with that process internally and personally without having to share feelings, experiences out loud where it may be in violation of a confidentiality agreement.
For first responders, suppressing those traumatic experiences can lead to dangerous long-term impacts.
Most people have an understanding that emergency services personnel are going to see the most traumatic experiences that people live through. You know, your worst day is their work day.
And this initiative is there to help save the very people who save us. In Washburn, Michaela Wrench, Northern News Now.
And PTSD itself can present in many ways, including flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, depression, or having difficulty sleeping. Those are just a few of the signs. Now, while this specific initiative is just for first responders, Wellness on the Water is another organization that offers counseling for the community as a whole.